Imagine Lorcan and Aleve get married and Lorcan takes
Lorcan Lockin. Lorcan Lockin. Hey everybody, this is Kat.
And this is Rachel.
And you're listening to the Smut Peddlers podcast, a show for people who love books, especially when there's smut. We discuss our likes, our dislikes, and share all our favorite moments with you.
Today we're talking about Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas, so grab your favorite beverage and get ready to burn with us. We are in part 12 of our tandem read through Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. As usual, this is the romantic order, and for this episode we are covering Tower of Dawn chapter 57 and Empire of Storms chapters 66 through 75, which is the end of Empire of Storms. Ruh-roh.
A slight recap so we kind of know where our characters are. Aelin and Manon are in a mirror, so that's fun. They're talking to Elena or messages from Elena that are kind of telling them the story of how pretty much why Aelin is needed for the lock and all the keys and all that stuff. Kind of pretty much she's getting the history and the backstory from Elena. Finally, Elena's telling her the truth, which is great. Rowan and kind of the rest of our dream team, which now has Lorcan, Alede, Gavriel, and Fenris included in it, are like in the midst of about to get attacked by Maeve. So Maeve is approaching with her ships, and so they're readying pretty much to be attacked. Rowan did go and talk to his cousins to kind of plead with them to maybe not attack them, but we don't know what's going to happen there. Abraxos is still MIA at the moment, or in hiding because he was sent away before they went to the marshes. Nesryn learned that Maeve is not just Maeve. She's not just Fae Maeve. She's Queen of the Valg, which is terrifying. And right after they learn this, they're swooped up. Her, Sartak, and Falcon are swooped up by Kadara, who went back and got Borte and Yeran and kind of a bunch of rooks to come and rescue them. And they lit a bunch of the spiders' shit on fire, which is really fun and epic and wonderful. Yep. And so they've now made it back. Pretty much Nesryn, Sartak, Falcon, all of them have made it back to like the mountainside that is their like home base.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple new characters. Cairn is one that came up a few episodes ago, or an episode or two ago, and he is pretty much the person that took place of Rowan in Maeve's cadre, or as Aelin has always called it, the cadre, so we kind of refer to it as that as well. Mm-hmm. He is a sadistic piece of shit. That is all we really know about him. But he is the newest cadre member, so he is kind of like, he has become Maeve's like right-hand man, which is where Rowan or Lorcan would have been previously. So, that's terrifying. All we know is that even Rowan is like, no, this man is scary. And not scary because he's powerful. He describes him as scary because he is just a sadist. Like, loves to torture people. Like, that is just his MO. Similar to, we learned the main guy at Endovir that punished Selena. Like, Selena knew that he was rotten to his core, even when she was fighting him the last time and kind of her fire was going in and trying to save the guy and kill the Valg. Even the Valg was like, you should have seen what this guy's thoughts are. He is not far off from me. So like, why are you trying to save him? So it was kind of that similar vibe, like not a good person. So we don't like that. The first chapter that we talk about this time in Empire Storms, Aedion kind of brings up Ro, which is, it was his like father figure growing up, because we know that Gavriel is his father, but Ro is a character that is introduced, and Aedion believes him to be like his quote unquote true father, because he raised him, taught him how to fight, like taught him kind of the way of the world, or his world as we know it, which is a lot of war and to be like part of the Bane and all of that fun stuff. So those are kind of the two people that are brought up. I still have Yeran listed because I think he's still relatively new in like the world of Throne of Glass. He is a newer character, but he's Borte's something. They're about to be married, but like he's Borte's fiance, but like they put on this act as if they hate each other, but then they have like secret moments, and then I'm like, what is happening here? Okay.
I would be very okay if like the next book that she came out with was just like a short novella that was
just the two of them, but just their
enemies to lovers. Yeah. Just them. That's it.
Yeah,
it doesn't even need to be long. Just like 50 pages would be fine. I'll take it.
I want 180. Just 180.
Sure. But like I'm saying, if just to get it out there and in the world, I'm good. I'd read a 50-page book.
Yeah, I want to know their inner dialogue and then what they say to each other. Like that's what I want.
Gotcha.
All the little secret touches, all the little secret meetings they have in the hallway. Like, oh, Nesryn saw Borte and Yeran kind of go over there, and like she kind of smirked at him, but then pushed him like in the shoulder. I want to know what they were talking about. I want to know what that little interaction. I want that, please.
I'm sure you could find that online. Someone wrote it.
I want Sarah's version. I don't want someone else's rendition of it. I want Sarah. I want to know what Sarah was thinking of the conversation they were having.
Right.
Because I have my own idea, and I just want to know the truth.
Only she knows.
Yeah, pretty much.
And only she will probably ever know.
For anyone that's watching, my camera keeps going out of focus, so I apologize. But I'm trying to move my mic so it thinks my mic isn't a person, and it thinks I'm a person instead, which will be really fun. It's really fun. I love cameras. They're great. Anywho. Our first section, like I said, Aelin is kind of reminiscing about Ro, his real father. And he is reminiscing because he is at the front of the lines in this war, or this fight against Maeve's armada, and he looks over at Gavriel. And one thing that Gavriel is a warrior, so he looks at Gavriel thinking this idea of like, well, that's my father, I'm kind of bred to be similar to him, but then he has this like reminiscence of Ro, who taught him kind of the other side of just being a warrior, of like caring and taking care of like the people around you, which I thought was very nice.
Yeah, he like thinks back to, because he's preparing everyone for the fight, and they talk about like fear is the thing that will break an army faster than like anything else, and how to rally his troops and get them to be involved in what's coming rather than scared and afraid. I think we don't get a ton of like backstory with Aelin. A lot of the backstory we get about Aelin is mostly around like him and Aelin.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the few that we get that's like just
it's just his experience.
How Aelin was raised, which was nice.
Yeah, I really liked that touch of just bringing this person up, because like we knew Aelin had a different life than Aelin did. He was older. We know he got sent off to train for war at like 14, and he was fighting at like 14 years old, while Aelin, of course, was at this point missing.
Yeah.
But we don't really know his backstory. We know that he is considered, quote unquote, a bastard because his father like sired him and then didn't know he existed. His mother kept that from him. So yeah, we don't get a lot, and I like this just little touch of Aelin is seeing Gavriel as his father, but then also he's finally like accepting Gavriel, but maybe he almost feels like it's a detriment because this other person like took care of him for so long and really raised him. I don't know. I liked it.
He's like reflecting on all of this while they're basically in the middle of like
And all at
the
war.
attack has started.
Yeah.
Like the attack has started. They are at war. And he's on the top deck, like preparing all of the soldiers and getting ready for like arrows that are coming in. Lysandra is in the water, and she's in her sea wyvern form.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I loved so much in this one line that she wrote, and it just says she'd given her tail more strength, more control. Her own little project during the long days of travel, to take one original form and perfect it, to alter what the gods had made to her own liking. Like, she's can alter what she copies to be whatever she wants it to be that works for her. So like being able to not just like look at a sea wyvern or a wyvern like a Braxos and like copy Abraxos, but then like make little adjustments. She like takes away like the spikes on her tail because they got lodged in something during like one of the other battles.
Yeah, when they were fighting at Skull's Bay, she says clubbed, not spike. No, the spikes had gotten stuck in Skull's Bay, so she'd made her tail into a battering ram instead. Just like so fucking genius.
Cool. She's just like, I didn't like that. Let's try something else.
Oh, I love it. So, Lysandra's goal, like you said, she's in the water. Rowan knows how the Fae fight because he was the head of them for a very long time. Like, he was their captain, kind of telling them to go. So he knows what they're going to focus their power on. They are not going to expect a sea attack, like an underwater attack. Mm-hmm. So Lysandra's whole ordeal is that once Rowan like whistles or something, she is to start attacking the bottoms of these boats, because a lot of the Fae are going to be putting their magic into the arrows that are raining down. They're going to have shields in the upper decks to protect their people from the incoming arrows as well and attack. And so they won't have any type of protection magic over the bottom of the ship. And she gets...
Sorry. There was one other thing. She also turned her scales to spider silk, which is insane.
Oh, yeah. We learned that as she's like about hitting that part. The things.
She's like, she's talking about like, oh, there's like, they're smacking the...
Arrows were
She's
raining
like, I turned
down.
my tail from spikes into clubs. And then she's also like, and I turned my skin to spider silk so that it was impenetrable.
Yeah. Yeah, we learned that, so she starts hitting all the ships, and then as it's being described, we get the description that, like, the Fae noticed that she was doing this now, and so they started, like, shooting arrows into the water at her, and then she was like, but it's okay, because I studied Abraxos, like, spider silk wings, and made it so that my scales had spider silk woven into them, so that when the arrows hit me, they just bounce off. So it doesn't even matter that I'm just getting rained on by arrows in the water. And you're like, what the? Lysandra, please share this information earlier. You're cool as shit.
Sometimes I really like don't understand why, like, that's an insanely wild power that she has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think that she gets enough credit for she's like not like... being, because she's not like one of the main three, which is like Aelin and Rowan and Dorian, and I'm just like, guys, you're forgetting the person who's like can literally make her skin impenetrable. Mm-hmm. Huh?
Yeah, I think Aelin knows that. I think Manon also knows it. I think
Manon probably
Aelin
knows
and Manon know that Lysandra is like the most, like one of the more powerful of them. Like Rowan is very powerful because
women supporting women.
Yeah. Rowan is powerful because he has had 500 plus years, thousands of years to hone his magic. So he is very powerful for that. And he has very strong magic. I think Dorian can rival Rowan if he only knew how to control his magic as well. Like, I think
yeah, I would say that in
just
terms of power, I think I would go Aelin, Rowan, Lysandra, Dorian. At least right now. Because Dorian, like, he's just
He's
He's
just
like those
playing
guys.
around with
It's
his
like
power.
those guys that we make fun of rock climbing because they just like brute force strength their way up and they look so horrible doing it because they're just like, they have no finesse. They don't know what they're actually doing. They're just like, I have power. Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's
But
learning to fine tune
he's getting there.
I think Dorian is like a sleeper.
Yeah.
Like, I think brute power
And then
stronger
the
than
cadre.
Lysandra. But also,
I would
think
say the
Lysandra
cadre
is
are
more
like
clever.
after. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why.
I think Lorcan is like really fucking strong, and we have yet to see.
I think Lorcan's
really.
really strong, but I still maybe Lorcan and then Dorian. Yeah. But I still think Lysandra's.
I think it's the clever part. Like, Lysandra's really fucking smart because she had to survive a lot of things. So she knows how to. She's
so
watch.
good at manipulating other people too.
Yeah, and she just
like
knows
if you
how
talk
to look
if you
and see
talk
things.
like just Fight Club, Fight Club. Sure, Lysandra's probably gonna
like top dog
struggle a little bit more.
No, I think
Lysandra would struggle a little bit more. Only because they would, but even in a straight Fight Club where you're just fighting each other, she's probably not going to be as powerful. But like in every other aspect, in terms of like usefulness to, oh my god, she's the best. She's top dog.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh my god,
I think her and Aelin's brains are so similar that. Yeah. I also think Dorian is so quiet throughout these books. And even just the little bit of like, I listen and pay attention, where I'm like, he's really smart. He knows how to be a shadow. He had to do it for his entire life, was just be a shadow so that his father wouldn't kill him. Like,
I think he just didn't want to. I think he's still, up until probably these last couple of chapters, he has not been in a position where he wants to be the one that makes the decision.
Correct. Yeah.
So he just sits back and is like, I'll let other people make the decision.
But I think he's getting there now. Decisions, everyone else kind of second guesses him, except for Aelin.
That's why, yeah.
And I'm like, and Manon. Manon is like, what do you think to him? You're over there thinking I can see it. Like, I can see your wheels turning. And I'm just like, yes,
if I wanted my opinion known, you would know it.
So good. This whole fight is great.
So they're all getting they're all getting set up.
My favorite thing is that Lysandra was doing all these things and it had not even come close to death. It's fantastic. We love this. Lysandra is in the water, fighting for her life, killing like everything. She didn't even come close to death, like in Skulls Bay. Skulls Bay was scary. I did not want to.
Skulls Bay was a little.
The second.
But it was her first try in
the second Rowan
now
said,
she's perfected it. It was pre-Spider Silk. We're fine now.
Yeah. When Rowan said, "Hey, I need you in the water," I was like, "Fuck, not again." It's like, please, we can't hurt Lysandra. We need her.
The last line of Lysandra's perspective is, she had made a promise to that court, that future, to Aelin and to her queen, she would not fail her. And if God's damned Maeve wanted to go head-to-head with them, if Maeve thought to strike them when they were weakest, Lysandra was going to make the bitch regret it. I still think it's funny when she chooses to curse in these, because she still does the stuff where it's like, they made a vulgar gesture. And then uses the word bitch. I just feel like she uses it with such purpose.
Yeah.
Whenever she does it, it's like, I mean it, okay?
100%. We go into Dorian's point of view, and this is the first time, this fight is the first time Dorian is truly feeling magic exhaustion. The only time he has truly fought with his magic was against his dad, and in that scene, him and Aelin were like hand in hand, and I genuinely think that somehow, holding hands, they could funnel their power to each other, and Aelin was really helping him funnel some power to freeze things the way that he needed to really have an impact in that fight. So like after that fight, Dorian wasn't drained. He was tired, but he wasn't drained like we've seen Aelin or Rowan or Lorcan even be drained. And so this is the first fight that we have where Dorian has really had to think about. He even touches on, like, I could feel the cloudiness in my vision, in my head. I was getting hot, like different things that they feel when their power is being drained too much. But he, like, finally got to see. He goes, oh, that's what that is. Like, oh, that's burnout. I can see it.
Yep.
And you're like,
He
fuck.
knows.
He didn't burn out, so we're grateful. He doesn't. No
He's
one
fine.
burns out during this fight, which is great. They are all fucking tired as shit, though, because it's pretty much what
It's a lot.
Rowan has a shield across everyone because he's, like, really the most powerful. He pretty much had Dorian also put up a shield as best he could, and he's trying to, like, fill the holes with that.
Yeah.
But it's really just the two of them shielding their whole army while every Fey warrior can create a shield. Gabriel and Fenris also do some.
All they're doing is, like, waiting for Aelin and Manon to get back.
Yeah.
Because they know that they're not... So they cannot win. They need Aelin and Manon to come back, and they're still in a mirror.
Yeah.
So they're just doing the best they can to, like, protect as many people as they can and hold the line until they get back.
Yes. The greatest thing, and I love that it was within Dorian's point of view, that the first realization... So, pretty much, we knew that Rowan went and talked to his cousins. This is the scene in which they turn on their own allies, an ally with Rowan and their family. And Dorian is the first to notice it. And Dorian notates it as being... he watched the ships move from back to the front of the line. Their flags were lowering, and a new flag was raising, which was that of the White Hawk, which I believe is Rowan's kind of, like, family crest as well, which is why
It's a silver banner and a screaming hawk.
Yeah. And so it was like they were pulling down their flags that showed that they were part of Maeve's armada and raising the flag of their, like, family crest. And then as they were doing this, they started opening fire on their, like, allies' armada. So they put themselves between our dream team and the Fey warriors. And they are Fey warriors, so they also have the ability to shield. And they just fucking started going in on the ships, which is great.
I also love that, like, the line that Dorian basically, like, the way that the line reads is basically Dorian thinks that he's failed all of them by sending, like, Aelin and Manon away. On that gamble, he'd perhaps failed all of them, but Rowan Whitethorn had not. No, as those enemies slid into place among their foundering companions, Dorian saw that they had each bore the same flag, a silver banner and a screaming hawk. Because Rowan had gone out and gotten all of them. I just love that he, like, literally says, like, I might have screwed up, but Rowan doesn't fail her. Rowan saves the day. Ugh! It's so great.
Yeah. The Dark Queen's flag had vanished entirely as the Fey ships bearing the silver banner of the House of Whitethorn opened fire upon their own armada. Just like, yes!
It makes me so
at the
happy
end of the
too,
chapter
because
2 is fantastic.
Rowan, in a previous chapter, basically is like, this is all I have to give her. Like, she gave up being able to make a strategic marriage to gain her an army to choose Rowan. And Rowan is like, all that I have to give her is to try this. And I love that it's recognized in another person's point of view that he does that for her.
Yeah. The start of the next section is Rowan's point of view, realizing that his family is coming to his aid. And it notates that he had talked to Enda, which is his female cousin, I guess.
I think so.
And told her of Aelin, Erewhon, and the threat of the keys and the locks and kind of all the things. Like, pretty much gave her all the information. And every single one of his cousins had agreed and attacked. and he didn't know if like they met separately, but it's just, this was an act of treason. That was what he had begged them for. Treason and betrayal so great they could never go home. Their lands, their titles would be seized or destroyed. And as their unharmed ships sailed into place, besides those Lysandra had already dissembled, as they opened an assault of arrows and magic upon their unsuspecting forces, Rowan roared at his own fleet. Now, now, now. Because now they had the upper hand. So good. Every single cousin, every single one, as if they had all met, all decided to risk ruination together. Rowan had not possessed an army of his own to give Aelin, to give to Terrasen. It's so good. And then we flip to Lorcan's POV, and Lorcan's like, I couldn't believe it. Lorcan didn't believe it. He didn't believe what he was seeing as a third of Maeve's fleet opened fire upon the stunned majority of her ships. Lorcan's like, how the fuck did this guy pull this shit off?
I love that it also is like, it's a third of her. It's a third of that, like, armada or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
As these ships, of course, we know that Maeve still has control of Fenris and Gavriel. And as these ships did this, as they turned, Maeve finally called on Fenris and Gavriel. And the first person that noticed this is Lorcan. He looks up and sees Fenris kind of in a panic. He then teleports or winnows over to Gavriel and tells Gavriel that he's being pulled and he can't control it. And then Gavriel looks at Lorcan and points to the precise location that he had left a lead on the banks. Maeve had something coming on foot. They don't know where she is. Yeah, they still haven't found Maeve. They don't know where Maeve
is. They just know she's around because she's close enough that they can feel her
power. Yeah.
And they can basically feel the basic, like, general area of where she is because they can feel her pull. So all Gavriel is able to do is fight the bond enough that he can tell them where it's coming from.
Yeah, so he points...
Which is right where they left a lead.
Yeah, so great.
Sick.
Yeah, so of course Lorcan is like, fuck. And
fuck, I gotta go.
Gavriel and Fenris vanish. So my takeaway from that was they're trying to fight the bond with Maeve, and Maeve's trying to get them to turn on everyone there. So they're fighting against her challenge, and we know Fenris has a harder time fighting against her demands. And so I think the easiest way for Fenris to fight against that is to winnow away. Use up some of his power to winnow with Gavriel to a different location. And Gavriel's kind of rebellion is to give someone information about where he feels like Maeve is, because she's currently not being seen. So Maeve had something coming by foot is all I wrote, because we didn't actually know at this point that Maeve was over there. We just knew something was over by a lead.
Yeah. So Lorcan basically like commandeers a longboat to make his way to the shore. And then we get a lead's perspective, which is just like Aneth screaming in her ears, like, see, see, see. And she's like, see what? God damn it.
Yeah, the whole thing is like, Alid couldn't see the battle from where she was. But then this voice in her head was just telling her repeatedly, see, see, see. And she's like, I can't see anything. What do you mean? What am I seeing?
And then it leaves. Not leaves, specifically fled. And then Alid feels something coming. And the last line, she thinks that it's Vernon. Alid's mouth dried. If Vernon found her here, there would be no escaping him now. but it was not Vernon who appeared on the beach, as if walking out of a passing breeze. And then we go to Tower of Dawn.
Yeah.
Whoever
There's
made
also
this
a note
is
of
very good at deciding when you need to stop.
Yes.
And go to the other fucking book.
I agree. I like it. I like the pause here. I also like one big thing, as we know, Mala is kind of the goddess of the sun, Firebringer. She's charged mostly from the sun. So a big part of the scene is that Alid describes it similar to when the Ilkin came through. It was a shadow was cast across everything. Something that knew Aelin Galathinius drew strength from sunlight, from Mala. And that was when Alid was like, this could be Vernon because of this tie to the Ilkin and what happened with the Ilkin, how it kind of like blacked everything out to block the sun. Which is terrifying. Because now that we know that Maeve is Valg, the Valg now know how to stop Aelin from channeling from power from the sun. Which is not great. We don't love that information. Okay. Tower of Dawn. I almost said Throne of Glass. Tower of Dawn. Yeah. We are back. Tower of Dawn. We're going to check in with Nesryn and all of them. It's going to be great. It's just Nesryn. So they get back to their mountain house meeting point. Yep. Falcon was barely alive. He was still in his spider form. So he was kind of taken off with like healers in some manner. They were healing him. They see a flash of light. He turns back into a person. He has a bunch of gashes all over him so that they actually can heal his like human form too. So he's kind of taken off to the side to be healed. He's alive. He's not doing great, but he's alive. He's not near death.
Sartak's also not doing super great, but is also alive.
Yes, also alive. Injured, not. He's more alive than Falcon is.
Yeah.
Falcon
was worse
much
off for
better
sure.
days. We learn that Borte, as we knew, was not supposed to go to fight in this scenario. Oopsies.
Sorry, Mama.
So she crossed what her Hearth Mother had demanded of her by going and asking Yeran's Hearth Mother if she could go and fight. In there, we learn a little, like, kind of political breakdown of their structure. Because she is engaged to be married to Yeran, his Hearth Mother also can tell her what she can and cannot do, sort of. And so she found a little loophole.
She went to Mom. Mom said no, and then she went to ask Dad, and Dad was like, "Yeah, sure, that sounds great."
Yeah, sure. Your mom would be fine with that. And then just went and did it.
And then Mom and Dad just didn't communicate. They got played, you know? It's fine.
Yeah, pretty much.
But there was a string attached. Which is that they had to set a date.
Yes. They had to agree
I love
to a
that
date.
She goes to her own Hearth Mother and she gets turned down, and then she goes to her betrothed's Hearth Mother, and her Hearth Mother says, "Cool, set a date for the wedding and I'll let you go." And she's like, "Fuck. Fine. All right, whatever."
What I like, though, is that what's great, because this gives you so much more of the dynamic between Borte and Yeran, because Yeran goes, "I never agreed to that date."
Yeah, and then Yaren's pissed because he's like, I'm not okay with it.
It's not that he's pissed. He pretty much was like, yeah, I let her set a date with my mother, but I'm not going to hold her to that date. And I'm the other player in this. And so it's like he knows Borte so much. You get this idea that he knows Borte so much because he's just like, he looks at Sartak and is like, I didn't agree to that date. And it's just like,
not real because I didn't agree to it.
Okay. I don't know. I read it as him still being on Borte's side in the sense that, like, I'm not going to marry her if she doesn't want to marry me at that time. So, like, I'm still going to push back against that date if she doesn't actually want to marry me on that time frame. I don't know. I loved that little, like, just interaction. Yeran stared after her for a long moment, then turned to them, gave them a crooked grin. She promised to set a date. That's how she got my Hearthmother to approve. He winked at Sartak. Too bad I didn't tell her that I approved of that date at all. Where I'm just like, oh, he actually gives a shit about her. To me, that is the first, time Yeran has said.
Sure. Yeah. I think he's shown it a bunch of times.
Shown it.
That, like, he's so nice to her compared to the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's shown it in, like, those little, like, hallway moments. But then this is the first time he has said words to Sartak that's like, oh, don't worry, Sartak. She's not going to be forced to marry me unless she wants to. Like, I will make sure of it. And I'm just like, oh.
I'll bring her around. I'll convince her.
Hulin, which is Borte's Hearthmother, she's not thrilled by this action. And so she's like, Borte, we're going to talk about this later. She can't go against it because the other Hearthmother said yes.
Yeah.
But she's also going to be like, hey.
She's going to get shit for it.
You really worked around my word. Please, maybe let's not do that. So, that was great. Like we said, Sartak is injured. He was kind of holding his own until, this interaction where he finally, like, puts, I think, his shield down a little of, like, oh, I'm exhausted and in pain, and leans heavily into
and
Nesryn.
Safe now.
Yeah. All of these, so they come back, and then they also in this moment, they tell Hulin kind of about what they interacted with, and that they need to call a meeting with all of the clans, which is like Yeran's clan and kind of all the other, we talked about all the mountains having their own like little clan. Yeah. So all the clans have to come together to know of the threat that's posed right now.
Because it's turned into not just her finding information and trying to get as much information as possible and go home. It's like, hey, this is a threat that's in your own backyard as well. Because they're not just spiders. They're Valg. They're Valg. It's horrifying.
Well, also, they're Valg that are stealing eggs from all of the clans.
Yes.
And what they're trying to do with those eggs, we don't know. They could be
good.
delivering them to Erewhon to have
whatever it is, it's not good.
Yeah, we're not thrilled with the action of these spiders. So either way, we have to share the information. They give, what I really liked is they let Nesryn kind of speak on a lot of what was happening. Like, Sartak let Nesryn kind of like explain to Hulin kind of what was going on. Afterwards, Nesryn, Falcon, and Sartak were all kind of like resting because they, had seen some better days. So the Hearthmother brought all this information to like all the other Hearthmothers to tell them like there is actually a threat. Our eggs are actually being stolen from the rooks. They're being stolen by these spiders. Here's a bit more information of the spiders and where they come from. Nesryn also shares that they learned more than just that, and that was when she brings up how the spiders are tied to Maeve, who is the Queen of the Valg, and not just the Queen of the Fae.
She tells them...
terrible.
She tells them, like, the full history of Erewhon and Maeve. She does not mention the quest for the keys. And then at the end of her story, Sartak says, I leave this choice to you. The horrors of the Dagal Fells are only the start. I will pass no judgment should you choose to remain. But all who fly with me, we soar under the Coggan's banner. We shall leave you to debate amongst yourselves. And then just leaves the clans to decide amongst them who does or does not want to join and go back. They still have to go back and convince Dad. Coggan,
I think even
to then go and do this, but like their plan right now is they're gathering all of the clans and they're going to take as many clans as they can and go back and then convince the Coggan to like, hey, this is the update. We got to go deal with this and join.
Yeah. This is also like we learned a bit of history of Falcon, and so Nesryn goes and visits Falcon and finally tells him what she suspects, which is that her really good friend Lysandra is likely the niece that he had been looking for, which my heart, it
I
killed
know.
me.
Because she goes and asks if he wants to go with them.
Yeah.
And Falcon is like confused why she would want him to come with.
Mm-hmm.
Because I might know who your family is. I
Yeah.
might. Ugh.
She did not know much of Lysandra's personal history, but the ages, the location matched. Only the description did not. The mother had described a plain, brown-haired girl, not a black-haired, green-eyed beauty. And yes, he would come to war and to find her, his niece, his last shred of family in the world, for whom he had never stopped looking. Ugh! That line made me cry. It makes me so happy. Ugh. It makes me so happy.
At the end of all of this, the clans decide to go with, and then Sartak and Nesryn get a message from Kael. The message from Kael basically says, "Come back! We need your help!" And they know something's wrong because they say, yeah, Kael never asks for help. This must be a problem.
Yeah, Sartak goes, something is wrong, and Nesryn nods. If Kael, who never asked for help, never wanted help, had told them to hurry, she glanced toward the council, still waiting to announce their decision. But Nesryn only asked the prince, how soon can we be airborne? That
oh my god,
is telling. When the one person of, like, everyone that knows Kael the best is like, this bitch never asked for help. We have to go yesterday. We should be there already. Terrifying.
Okay, so now we go back to Empire of Storms. And this is it. We're gonna finish Empire of Storms now. So, we pick up with Aelin in agony at having seen Nehemia again in this memory. Girl, same. Every time they bring up Nehemia in any way, my heart gets ripped out again. She suspected that it was going to be something that would, like, end her. But to have it all confirmed is pretty devastating.
Pretty grim.
And she kind of is coming to terms with the fact that she's gonna be, that she's likely going to die to have to fulfill this prophecy because Elena fucked up. Thanks, Elena. But they go through, she sees like a bunch of memories kind of going through at once. She sees Nehemia and Elena. She sees Elena and Brannon arguing after, like, everything's kind of been revealed. Then she sees Elena and Rhiannon together, and we find out that Rhiannon is like, Manon is like the spitting image of Rhiannon, which is very cool and so sad at the same time. We see Brannon forging the amulet of Orinth with nameless as my price written in word marks on the back, which is like the only way that he was able to in any way give some sort of hint to his future heirs that this was going to happen. Mm-hmm. He made Mort the door knocker, which was such, I loved that little call out. Ugh. It's like they can't do or say anything because of the, like, nature of the prophecy or whatever, but they do find ways to manipulate what they can. And then the final piece being Mala's temple. And she has, like, one final kind of conversation with Elena. And she says that she's sorry. I don't fucking want your sorry, Elena. And then she basically says, like, Dorian was not ready, but you were.
Yeah, so we get to this
Um,
point where it goes from
it's
being like
heartbreaking.
these memories that she's seeing to Elena like turning to Aelin and speaking to her directly within this mirror, which is such a like wild little turn. So it goes from you're watching Brannon and make all of these things, and then Elena like from that memory turns to Aelin to say that she's sorry that she did this, like that it is all her fault. That Aelin has to now deal with all of the repercussions, and she talks about how Dorian, or I don't know if it was
I mean, Aelin gets angry initially,
Manon.
and she's like, "Why was she the choice that was made, or was it just so that they could spare the Havalier bloodline? Is that like she was chosen over Dorian?" And Elena says, "Dorian was not ready. You were. The choice Nehemia and I made was to ensure that things went according to plan," which like hurts again
Mm-hmm.
because it's like Nehemia. The grace of Nehemia to like know that the path that she was on would end in her death and accept it, but then also know that she is preparing Aelin for a very similar path in like becoming her friend and setting her up to basically be like, and you also are going to go down this path of like complete and utter self-sacrifice
Yeah.
because Dorian is not going to be ready is just like heartbreaking.
One of the things that Nehemia had said to Aelin, because we get a vision of Nehemia and Aelin, or not Aelin, Nehemia and Elena meeting in the catacombs before she is going to die or sacrifice herself, Nehemia, that
Yeah,
is.
because
And Nehemia
she
says
goes
to
to the
Elena,
stone marches first.
yeah, that was like a while ago, but this, she
Yeah.
talks to Elena in the catacombs of the Otterlanian castle
Yeah,
and
yeah,
says
yeah.
that this is going to break her and she will not be ready if we do this now. Like, she will break and she will destroy so many things in the process. And Elena pretty much has to tell her, like, we don't have a choice anymore. We have to do this now. Which is terrifying.
They talk about also the way that like the queen who was promised was not meant to be to the world, but it was supposed to be the queen who was promised to the keys to the
Mm-hmm.
gods. And then kind of the last reveal of this, last of many actually. Last from Elena, I think, is that she did not survive in the Flowing River from luck. The gods had sent Elena to fetch her, basically, and deal with everything now. Go
Yeah, she
and
was going to
grab
collect her
Aelin,
as a child
grab
and
the
do
word
it then.
keys, and yeah, and do it like immediately rather than wait. And Elena goes to get her, pulls her out of the river, and Aelin is basically dead. Like she dies on that river bank. And Elena, in another act of defiance, brings Aelin back from death. And the cost of that for Elena is that she will never see, she won't go to like whatever afterlife. She will actually just like kind of be poofed from existence and won't get to be with her children or Gavin.
Yeah. Elena says she hesitated. You clung to that log with all your strength. Everything had been taken from you, everything, and yet you still fought. You did not yield, and they told me to hurry because even then their power to hold me in that solid body was fading. They said to just take you and go, but I hesitated. I waited until you got to that riverbank. And then you died. Right there, you died. You had fought so hard, and I failed you. And in that moment, I didn't care that I'd again failed the gods, or my promise to make it right, or any of it. All I could think, all I could think was how unfair it was, You had not even lived. You had not even been given a chance. And all those people who had wished and waited for a better world, you would not be there to give it to them.
So instead, she brings her back and then guides her along this path so that she can at least experience a life before she has to sacrifice herself, and guides her also right to Rowan. Because she asks too, like, why send me to Wenland? Like, why send me through these? And she says to guide her to the prince, who is her mate. She tells, this part, it hurts so bad. She says, this is what she says. I sent you to Wenland for healing, and so you would find him, the one who had been waiting for so long. The one who had been waiting so long for you. Rowan. Aelin's heart cracked. Elena nodded. He was a voice in the void, a secret silent dreamer, and so were his companions. But the Fae Prince, he was. Aelin reined in her sob. I know. I've known for a long time. I wanted you to know that joy too, Elena whispered, however briefly. I did, Aelin managed to say. Thank you. It's like the first time that we get a hint at them being mates. So we have the last bit being the witch's mirror. The witch mirror's power is fading. It will not hold you here much longer. Please let me show you what must be done, how to end it. You won't be able to see me after, but I will be with you until the very end. Every step of the way, I will be with you. Show me then. So Elena did, and when she was done, Aelin was silent. Manon was pacing, snarling softly, but Aelin did not fight it as Elena leaned in to kiss her brow, where that damning mark had been her whole life. A bit of chattel branded for the slaughterhouse. Brandon's mark, the mark of the bastard born, the nameless. Nameless is my price. To buy them a future, she'd pay it. Fuck.
And then, just all of a sudden, flooding sunlight, they're blinded, and now they're on the banks of our fight that's happening.
In front of Maeve, with a lead on her knees, a blade to her throat.
Yep. They had been placed here, but by whatever forces were at work, whatever gods watching, to stand in the sandy field before the turquoise sea, dead guards in Briarcliff armor, slaughtered upon the nearby dunes, still bleeding out, to stand before Queen Maeve of the Fae. They still don't know she's Valg. Alid Lockin, which is too confusing for my brain, Lorcan and Lockin, every time I read it. True. Alid Lockin on her knees before her with a Fae warrior's blade at her throat. And then...
Imagine Lorcan and Alid get married and Lorcan takes...
Lorcan Lockin. Lorcan Lockin.
Lorcan Lockin, Lord of Perith.
So many else.
La 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 la. All right.
So
we got 7 chapters left and shit is fucked, guys.
Yeah.
God damn it.
We flash back. Some of these are mostly like we flash between each person during this exact moment. So Aelin and Manon have reached the shore. They're still fighting.
This is now chapter 9. Chapter 69. Things are not nice. There's no nice in chapter 69. Everything's fucked. It's great.
It's Adian's point of view. He knew this was like the worst war he had ever been a part of.
He's been a part of so many terrible wars. That's so bad.
Yep. So, one act of defiance that Gavriel did, we learn, as he was leaving, he put a shield around Adian and Lysandra, which is the cutest thing. And the further away he got, the smaller the shield went. But it pretty much coated his, like, outer layer. And he could still feel it.
The fact that he fucking shields Lysandra is just...
Well, he knows.
I know, it's just so nice. It makes me happy.
Aedion notates that he has this shield on him, and so does Lysandra. He also kind of flashes through when he's looking around that he sees warriors drowning from the weight of their armor, and Lysandra is at his side fighting in her ghost leopard form, which I think is fantastic. I love that she always goes back to her leopard form, which is fantastic. He looks at Lysandra, which, you know, anytime he says anything to Lysandra, she's like, fuck off. But he looks at her and says, I want you to run. Lysandra turned a fuzzy head towards him, pale green eyes narrowing slightly. Blood and gore dripped from her maw onto the wood planks. Aedion held that gaze. You turn into a bird or a moth or a fish, I don't running care, and you go. If we're all about to fall, you run, and that's an order. She hissed as if to say, you don't give me orders, which is chef's kiss Lysandra. I technically outrank you. Because now they're actually in a war scenario where he technically outranks her right now.
She needs a promotion. That's all I gotta say.
So you'll run, or I'll kick your ass in the afterworld. Lysandra stalked up to him. A lesser man might have backed away from a predator that big, prowling close. Some of his own soldiers did. But Aedion held his ground. As she rose on her back legs, those huge paws settling on his shoulders, and brought her bloodied feline face up to his. Her wet whiskers twitched. Lysandra leaned in and nuzzled his cheek, his neck, which was so cute. And then he has to ruin it and go, the next time you do that in your human form, which I also think is funny.
He didn't ruin it. That's adorable.
But he's like, next time you want to snuggle me, can you be a human? I think it's love the idea.
I took it more as like she fucking shows him affection every time she's in a different form so that she doesn't have to fucking confront the fact that she has feelings for him. So I liked it as like a challenge of like, you want to fucking do this, then like you be in your human form and you accept that this is the thing.
I read it as him trying to make light of the situation a little, trying to like play on that, which is what Aedion has been doing like this whole I would say a lot of the time he kind of makes jokes when bad things are happening to like lighten the mood a little bit. And I read it,
I think it's a little bit
as
of both.
That of like Lysandra is showing him affection, and so he's gonna play into that affection enough so that she's not uncomfortable with giving him affection.
But I also think that it's I like it of like, you know, you only seem to want to show me affection when you can be like, I'm like a cuddly animal. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean the same. I love it.
He also thinks about how they were lucky that a majority of the armada that Maeve had brought to this fight in particular were magic wielders that hailed from Rowan's line. My thought was Maeve was doing that as like, hey, you're going to take out one of your own, and did not anticipate them actually siding with him.
I think it was a test so that she could know if they were actually on her side or not.
Yeah.
So that she would know, all right, well, fine. We'll just take you guys all out in the next battle.
Yeah.
So they're fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. They're, Lysandra and Aedion are kind of waning. Dorian, we get his perspective. His magic is also waning. And they just kept coming. And they still have not seen Manon and Aelin.
Yeah.
Rowan's in the front, holding the line. Aedion gets injured. He has a bark of pain that cuts across the waves. And there was a roar of rage that echoed it. Lysandra.
Mm-hmm.
And then a roaring sound again as a mighty shape shot down from the heavy clouds, a wyvern with shimmering scales, and behind it, descending upon the Fae fleet with wicked delight, flew 12 others.
But go, Abraxos. He went and got the 13.
I'm gonna cry again.
He went to find them. He was like, oh yeah, I'll just go silently hide in a corner. Just kidding. I'm gonna go find everybody. I'm gonna get the 13. We're bringing the band back together. Get the band back together. He's so
They're
good.
all alive and they're fine.
Yes.
Lysandra knew that roar. And then there was Abraxos plunging from the heavy clouds. 12 other wyverns with riders behind them. Iron teeth witches. Hold your fire.
Go.
Rowan bellowed from half a dozen shifts away. The other witches and the wyverns unleashed hell upon the Fae, smashing through the converging lines, snapping grappling hooks, buying them a moment's reprieve. How they knew who to attack, what side they fight for. Abraxos and 11 others angled northward in one smooth movement, then plowed into the panicking enemy fleet. The golden hair rider, however, swept for Lysandra's ship, her sky blue wyvern gracefully landing on the prow. Where's Manon Blackbeak?
Aelin, please don't.
Aelin Blackbeak at your service?
I liked the Aelin. Who are you?
Who are you?
Aelin, shut the fuck up. Now it's
Bitch,
not the
I'm
time.
Astrid. Who are you?
You want to have a dick measuring contest with me? Because Astrid's is bigger. Sorry, Aelin. 1,000%.
The 13 laughed at their enemy as they slammed into the southern flank. Fucking Christ.
They
herded the panicking ships between them, smashed them apart, wielding every weapon in their arsenal. Wyverns, blades, iron teeth, what got past them, received the brutal mercy of Rowan and Dorian's magic. Ugh!
What I loved about this was Lysandra, like, looking up at the wyverns, and Abraxos specifically, and being like, I want to be able to fight next to you, but I don't have the energy to shift one more time to be a wyvern. But she, like, looks up at Abraxos kind of longingly in this idea of, like, you're my friend. Like, she is the first, other than Manon, she is, like, only ever seen Abraxos as, like, her friend and wants to fight side by side. Because even in the previous fight, when Abraxos was getting attacked, she shifted immediately and was next to Abraxos and defending him. And I love this idea that she looked up at him and was like, God, I don't have enough energy, but I would 100% shift into a wyvern right now to fight next to my best little buddy.
Aelin sees her, like, being antsy about it, and he goes, we don't want the witches to make us look bad, do we? And then they, like, jump back into the fight with everyone else. They, like, basically destroy them. And the next perspective we get is Rowan's talking about, like, they're basically done. Like, they've almost destroyed the whole fleet. But there's a boat missing.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's realizing that
Maeve
her
wasn't
specific
there.
ship is still not there. So he doesn't know where
And they realize that Aelin and Manon also aren't there. Not that they're not back, that they're just not
anywhere
there with them. So they have to...
Rowan shifts into his hawk form. His magic is, like, real faded at this point. He has been shielding pretty much all, everyone.
Like, toast.
And so he uses his last little bit of magic to shift into his hawk form and took to the skies. Because he's like, I don't see Maeve's ship. Where is she? I don't like this. This is also when he started... Like, he flies up and notices this, like, shadow, almost, this darkness, kind of on the edges of the river where they're fighting. And that's when he's like, fuck. Not
Dorian
good.
is the one that notices.
Yeah. Rowan notices darkness, but doesn't notice that it's on the coast. Dorian sees Aelin at the coast with a lead and Lorcan.
I think he just feels it.
Oh, yeah. Dorian has the ability to feel magic more than
He can feel,
Rowan.
like, the magic. Yeah, it's very cool. Like, this is why I'm saying, when we talk about the power rankings, like, Dorian just needs to get his fucking shit controlled, and then he's gonna be horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
He could be, I think it could go, like, Aelin, and then Dorian, and then Rowan. But Dorian has to learn. Dorian comes out and basically says the coast. Aelin is out by the coast where we sent a lead. They all are. Lysandra asks, how do you know? And Dorian says, I can feel something out there, flame and shadow and death. Like Lorcan and Aelin and someone else, someone ancient and powerful and female. And Rowan realizes that he's not of any use to her if he just flies there straight himself, that he needs all of them to come with.
Yeah, he would have to use his magic to shift again. Yeah, he'd have to use his magic to shift again. He'd have to use his magic to pump the air faster to make him faster, and he just doesn't have it. He doesn't have that power right now.
But wyverns might be fast enough.
Uh-huh. But a wyvern, that might do.
So they all jump on wyverns and head to shore.
Yeah. Yep.
And now we're back with Aelin. Where she stands on the shore staring at the Queen of the Fae. Because we don't know that she's Valg in this book. Because this book doesn't have all the information.
Yeah.
That the other book has.
As the reader, we know that.
So this makes this worse.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Aelin and Manon were face to face with Maeve. Elid's guards were killed before they even likely had a chance to fight. And then Lorcan appeared at Aelin's side. And that is when we learn that Lorcan, in his panic with the Ilkin, where he was summoning Rowan and all of them to look his direction or to know that the Ilkin was coming, that his power is strong enough that it reached Maeve and summoned Maeve to protect Elid. Which is...
So how do you feel?
Terrifying. I feel like that sounds like some typical Fae male bullshit. He's gonna pull every card he can. I don't see it as an act against I think it's Aelin.
Oh, I see. I absolutely do. Because he still like wants to be in Maeve's court. And like calls her, to protect.
I think he still thinks, I still think he has the idea that Maeve, if it is something he cares truly about, would protect Elid. He's think that is
fucking idiot.
Yeah, I don't think he's smart. I still think it's some typical Fae male bullshit, but I think it's some shit that way back Rowan would have done for Aelin to protect her. Just like he called the cadre, even with the idea that they could potentially tell Maeve.
But that's different than calling Maeve specifically to protect Aelin.
Well, then who else would have... In that scenario, there was no one else for Lorcan to call. At that time, when they were in Mistward,
Maeve wouldn't have
Rowan's
made it
first
in time
line was...
to save her.
He didn't know if she was part of the attack. He saw darkness, as we know.
It's one of those things that I just like... The redemption has to hit real hard. Because it's so fucked.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fucked up, and it's so selfish, and it makes me so angry.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, it's not a line for me, for him.
Ugh.
And maybe it's because I read through these scenes so quickly that, like, you get a millisecond of him admitting to what he did, and if Rowan can forgive him, putting his mate's life in danger. Rowan even has the thought of he did this to protect Elid. All of this action was to protect Elid, not himself, which is still
just
not a
I know, but act. I still don't understand what do you think kind of life she's going to have with Maeve?
When you're on the brink of watching the person you love and care for, which you refuse to admit that you love and care for, on the brink of potentially dying. She is a human, and he is a fae, immortal fae. For him, this is another fucking day. This is just another thing. For her, this is death. Like, only death, and that is the only option, the only outcome.
I hate him so much.
Spoilers for ACOTAR, but this is some Rhysand bullshit that Lorcan pulls.
Don't even fucking start.
Hmm?
No, we're moving on. No.
This is some shit he would do. But it's okay, because people can hate Lorcan and not Rhysand. Rhysand has to be perfect. Book 5 fucking made me hate Rhysand so much.
Okay.
It's the same. This is, to me, this is a thing that he's doing to protect one individual. He is making an act to protect one individual.
Yeah. I mean, we could have a whole conversation. I just ignore a lot of what Rhysand does in that book.
A lot of people do.
Like, no,
but Lorcan is a not likable character.
Oh, he really pisses me off.
Because he's supposed to be the bad guy that turns good. Just like Manon.
She's more gracious.
It'd be like if Manon called her grandmother and was like, hey, not great, not a good look.
Ugh.
To me, it feels more like Manon going back to her grandmother, thinking that her grandmother was going to protect her and her 13, and then finding out that her grandmother would kill her best friend and her cousin.
He's just, I think the thing that I fucking get so angry about is he's such an idiot. Mm-hmm. He's just so stupid. Of like, he summons her, so we're beating around the bush here because we're arguing about Lorcan. But basically what's happening is Lorcan calls Maeve to come save a lead. She finally shows up. And she shows up and she threatens a lead to get Aelin to comply. Mm-hmm. And basically a lead is being used as a pawn. And Aelin would do anything for a lead. Lorcan has fucking nothing to give. So Aelin gets punished, basically. And just gets... she'll basically have to give Maeve whatever she wants. Mm-hmm. To protect a lead.
I feel like this... In the last scene where they're in the mirror, Elena shows her something that we are not told what it is.
Because she shows her, like, how she's supposed to, I don't know, sacrifice her life. Probably whatever stupid spell or some shit that she has to go through to be like, okay, great, you have banished them. We don't get to know what that is.
I feel like she and Manon, the reason Manon hisses and, like, growls towards Elena in this is because she knows what part she's going to have to play. And this whole scene solidifies Manon being pissed in the mirror because of her part she's going to have to play. She's going to have to not step in. Like, the whole thing is...
You're thinking that what they talked about in the mirror, that Aelin knows what she's walking into when she gets booted out.
Not fully knows what she's walking into, but has an idea of where she needs to go, and Manon also knows. And that's why Manon can't truly step in to stop anything that's currently happening. I don't think she was given the exact picture of like, hey, when you're dropped on this shore, Maeve's gonna be right there. It's gonna be you and Manon, and Aelid's gonna be there. But I have a feeling that there was something along the lines of like, Aelin is going to have to sacrifice herself, and Manon's gonna have to not stop that. Like, I had a feeling that the reason Manon got pissed was because the scenario they were shown, or whether it was a scenario or just words that Elena gave to them, was that Manon was gonna have to not interject, even if it came to the things that she cared about, which a lead for Manon is the thing that she cares most about, along with Abraxos and her 13. I don't necessarily think it was like that exact scene and moment, but it was
no,
the
I know. I'm
idea
trying to think. I'm
of
trying to
getting
think.
to the moment that they
I
showed.
think I have to have no comment on this.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to think of a way to like express my opinion on your theory without. I can't think of a good way to like. I can't think of a good way to have an opinion on it that's not gonna skew
Spoil
you
anything?
one way or the other. Yeah, I can't think of one.
Okay.
So I would just have to sit here and say fucking nothing, which is causing me such physical pain. Oh no.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay. Great. Awesome. Good theory. Love that. Well, yep. I don't like this part.
Hmm?
This is my least favorite part of doing whenever people are like, oh yeah, like this is what I think. Because sometimes I just have to fucking sit there and shut up. I can't even be like, I can't. I've got nothing.
You also can't agree, because if it
That's
is
why.
the thing, then
It's like a struggle, because I'm like, even if I agree with you and I'm like,
even if I say something that like,
yeah, but kinda, but even if I say like no, but kinda, it's like it doesn't matter. I'm fucked either way, because it will in some way skew the way that you read the next book. So I just can't, because I can't even give you my opinion of like why I agree or not. All of the shit, like my opinions with Lorcan, those are still just like,
right here in that moment.
At this point in this book, go fuck yourself. That still makes me so goddamn angry. But
I think his point of view, I think I was mad in this moment.
Oh, it
I
makes
was like,
me feel real good that he fucking regrets the shit out of it immediately. Because I'm like, yeah, what the fuck do you think is gonna happen, dude?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why, in general, it makes me so angry. Because it's like, it's not even like he thinks that it was the right decision. It's such instant fucking regret that I'm like, you didn't think for 2 seconds about the consequences of the action that you just made? Like, it wasn't even a far-fetched thing to me. Like, he's just so delusional about her that, like, he thinks that there's no fucking shot in my mind.
You get the idea from his conversations with a lead, because he is in love with Maeve, and he has said that. And he believes Maeve to be good, but with a kind of backwards way of getting to the good.
I know.
And he says all that to a lead. So in this moment, that was in my head of like, he truly thought Maeve was going to come and save her and protect her because Lorcan cares about her. Granted, us knowing Maeve's interaction with literally everyone else besides Lorcan, not gonna happen. But if you put yourself in that, like, Stockholm Lorcan shoes, I could understand why he thinks that, because of the way he pictures Maeve versus how I picture Maeve as a fucking piece of shit who wants everyone to die, and it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, it's frustrating that he doesn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Until now, when it's like very too fucking late.
I can agree to the frustration of him not seeing it, because I was like, dude, come on. You have to, like, you've been around for a long time. Oh,
she's
100%.
Terrified, and she's furious, and she's heartbroken. I feel most bad, I just feel so bad for Elite in this moment, because she's like, oh, finally, like, he's getting on the right side, and then immediately it's just like, oh, never mind. Mm-hmm. You're a piece of shit. And you literally have ruined the only thing that she's ever wanted in life. It's the only thing she's ever wanted.
Yeah.
Was to be part of a family and be part of that court. And in one fucking second, Lorcan is like, I'd rather you not die. Me, selfishly. I would rather you be alive and fucking miserable than have that. So, then you be dead. So.
Yeah. I don't know. Maeve says it also as, like, the girl who Lorcan summoned me to save, and I still read it as, like, he just pushed his power out to everywhere, and Maeve, because he's bonded with Maeve, caught onto it. But reading, it feels like it could have been either way. The way it's described, it could have been either way. It could have been
the way
direct
that
to
I
her,
read it,
or it could have been that he was pushing his power out to everyone because he was like, I'm fucking terrified. And Maeve was semi nearby, as we know she was, because she was on the banks of Eelway, burning shit. So she wasn't super far away when that occurred with the Ilkin.
See, and I don't read it like that at all, because Lorcan says that he's sorry. Yeah. And I think at one point a little bit later, he's like, Lorcan realized that he had known, that she had known, and, like, prepared. That, like, Lorcan realized that Aelin had known that he had already called Maeve.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I read that you could also interpret it as, like, because she felt the brunt of his power at her, like, where she was in location to him, to then ready for the Ilkin, that its potential, she either could feel it also go in all directions, because he says he pushed it in all directions when it was happening. I don't know. There's no line in this that really solidified that it was like a direct to Maeve. So I still have that, like, little bit in the back of my brain that it could have just been him pushing his shit out.
I kind of want to go back and see, because I almost thought that we had seen where they were, that Lorcan, like, had seen them in the distance before
Maeve?
He released that power. No, that he had seen their group.
He started pushing it out first as they were running. He did it in waves, and then he did a big burst when he could feel Rowan's power or Aelin's power, like, charging up. It was something along those lines.
That's what I thought, and that's why I was, like, trying to remember.
Because there was a point before it, like, he was doing bursts in different directions, and then as he felt the power, he couldn't pinpoint where it was, and he just did a large burst out in all directions. And that was, my brain could be a point where, like, it went fucking everywhere. Because they talk about him being drained shielding. It's possible. Because it has, Elide is also in that same mindset. It has the queen who summoned Lorcan.
The other reason that I'm not, you know what, I'm not letting him get away with it. Because even if he should have told them. Because he would have known it was a possibility that he summoned her.
Yeah.
And he doesn't say a goddamn thing. After they kill all of the Ilkin and she's safe with them, he should have told them.
Well, I mean, he's Lorcan.
That's why I'm going to continue to be angry about it. I was trying to see if I was like, am I convinced? Am I giving him too hard of a time? But I'm gonna go with that. I'm still mad because he didn't tell them that he possibly summoned Maeve.
Yeah, it's not a surprise to me that he didn't tell them, because he's Lorcan. He doesn't tell anyone anything. So.
Yep.
But it's okay. That's a common thing. People don't communicate with each other.
True.
Common theme.
Oh, yeah, because that's the other thing that he says. What should I demand as payment for the girl? Why doesn't my second tell me? So busy, Lorcan. You've been so busy these months. I did it for you, Majesty. Gross. Lorcan tells Maeve that Aelin has 2 of the keys.
Well, she does directly ask, and he cannot, when a direct question is asked of him because of the blood oath, he cannot lie. We learned that with Rowan. Because she says, then where is my ring? Where are my keys? She has 2 of them. She has them 2 keys. So he doesn't lie. He says she has them, which would allude to Elide having the ring.
He doesn't even
fight. And then how many keys? 2 keys. I think just that is him fighting. Is him trying to manipulate the bond with her. Mm. Because all he says is, she has them 2 keys. Which is technically not a lie. She has them. Both Aelin and Elide has them, so 2 she's. And then 2 keys because she doesn't have all 3. To me, that was him slightly defying her, of like trying to do what Rowan always did, which was like manipulate his answer to fit her question without, because they couldn't physically lie. And then she, of course, asked more questions.
You're really giving him a lot of leeway that I'm not ready to give.
I'm not
disagreeing with you. Yeah. I read it differently, and I'm still angry about it, and I'm gonna still be angry about it for a while.
He's still bloodsworn to her. And when Rowan was bloodsworn, even though like all of this was happening, Rowan could not physically lie, which is what why he told Aelin, do not tell me this thing, because if Maeve asks the question, I will have to tell her. And of all the people who were able to manipulate the questions being asked, Lorcan and Rowan were the 2 that were able to fight back the most against the blood oath with Maeve. Which is how,
and I think that's why I
so quickly
struggle with it, is because she doesn't write anything in here that says
that he's fighting against it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, other than the description of his, like, fucking face. A lead kind of notes that his face is kind of like he won't make eye contact with anyone. He's, like, struggling.
And I just...
Alid keeps trying to plead with Lorcan.
To me, that's
and
guilt.
He's like, be quiet. Like, he's trying... That, to me, was him being like, I need you to shut the fuck up. I'm trying so hard. Please stop. He does give a lot of information. Well, I know
he doesn't... He just gives her so much information, and, like, Alid shouldn't have called him Lorcan, because, you know, that's the... Maeve catches on and is like, oh, you seem pretty familiar with Lorcan. So yeah. She looks at Manon and sorry, do you want to finish?
I was gonna say the one thing that like helps solidify the like a lot of the questions that he's responding to. Aelin knows the full truth of what Lorcan knows, and you get these like body language description of Aelin as Lorcan is telling things, where she is like, yes, I need that information to be in place. Where she's not like fighting against it or trying to like counter his knowledge at any point. I don't know. He's feeding her information, and then Aelin changes.
I have no opinion on that one either. Just gonna sit here and stare at my book.
Okay. Lorcan told Maeve that Aelin had 2 keys and likely knows where Erewhon is hiding the 3rd, but he doesn't have that information. Didn't tell her that Alid had the ring, which to me was the act of defiance, was still protecting Alid.
Yeah, he does only answer the one question and not the question about the ring.
The she has them is really what got me, where like that was his answering the question.
She has them, which is she referring to both the keys and the ring, and then 2 keys being how many keys?
Yeah.
Aelin has as 2 separate answers to the question.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I'll give you that one.
I'm saying that's the only like point of him defying. Yeah.
Yep. I'm on board with that one.
This whole time, Alid is pleading with Lorcan. Alid is pleading with Manon to do something. They are not doing anything. Meanwhile, Maeve has said to Lorcan and Fenris that you are not to interject with anything. You are going to stand there. No interference. Still, 0 interference. You are doing nothing but making sure Alid stays exactly where she is. And so, of course, they're like, they physically can't do anything. Alid was pleading with Lorcan and Manon to do something. as Maeve got up from where she was, she pulled a lead with her, and Lorcan, like, she didn't, she pretty much demanded that the guard pick, like, a lead up to follow, and Lorcan fucking bolted to the guard, killed him, and, showed all of his cards to Maeve, but, that's fine. Killed the guard, and that's when Maeve uses the blood oath to have him stay still and hold on to a lead from running and do not do anything to interfere with what is currently happening, and do not even think about running away with her, like taking her and running. This whole time, of course, I still don't think Elid does not understand the blood oath and does not understand that Maeve has full, like, fucking body control over them when she demands certain things of them, which is why, Elid is pleading with him to do something and he physically can't.
And she's pleading with him to do something because Maeve and Aelin are actively fighting. Like, correct. They are, Aelin basically, like, says, all right, like, let's go, we're here. And Maeve and Aelin start, like, going at each other with their magic. And Rowan is holding a lead back from interfering in any way. Sorry, Lorcan is holding a lead back from interfering in any way. Yeah.
Yeah. Lorcan pushes kind of through his bond, and it's kind of said in a way that it's, like, tight-lipped, like he's trying so hard to fight against, of, like, fight, like, telling a lead to fight me and to run, and to get away. At this point, Maeve is just darkness slashing at and, like, hitting Aelin over and over, like, repeatedly. She taunts Aelin, holding her in place, asking, why don't you use the keys? We learn later it's because they're not on her person.
It's also why Manon doesn't do anything, because Elid also begs Manon to do something, and Manon just stands there and, like, lets the fight happen.
Yeah.
Manon has to basically show that she's not necessarily on
anyone's
Aelin's
side
team. Because Manon also, or Maeve was able to put together that Elid also has witch blood. So she knows that Manon has a claim to her as well.
Yeah.
She doesn't use the keys.
If Manon pushes back against Maeve, that is a reason enough to cross the witches. Maeve understands the witches and their breakdown. Granted, we now know that the witches are part Valg, technically. They have Valg blood. So it could also just be that since Maeve is Valg, she respects the witches more than anyone else in this scenario. But we don't know that in this thing. We know this from Tower of Dawn. Aelin is in just extreme amounts of pain. And then there's rustling. Our favorite type of rustling in the shadows. Fenris and Gavriel have shifted and jumped towards Maeve and pretty much told Maeve to let Aelin go. Which is such a great... I did not expect that.
Fenris is, like, growling and yelling at her to stop. Gavriel is begging her, exposing his palms to her. And Gavriel basically says, I'll take her punishment. And asks, like, to let her go, and that he will take the punishment for Aelin. Maeve strips the blood oath from him as punishment.
Which I was very hyped about. I read it. Gavriel
this
is, like,
this part's
so much
hard
pain
because
from this happening.
In our brains, we're like, fucking nice, let's go. He's free, he can do whatever he wants now, it'll be great. The problem is that the way that she does this to all of them is horrible. So she strips Gavriel of the Blood Oath, because above all else, he is a man of honor. So she strips him of the Blood Oath with dishonor.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be known basically, like, I think they mention at some point there being like, it's almost like there's a scent to it or something. So like people will know when they
Well, it puts
encounter
a
him.
mark on them. I think it puts some kind of scar where the
That's what I'm
cut
saying.
is.
Like, I don't know where the. Anyways, there is like people will know that he was let go from a blood oath with dishonor, which breaks him. Also, severing a blood oath is fucking painful. So he's just down for the count, writhing in pain, and is also just emotionally devastated. Fenris, she forces, he just has to stand there and watch.
Yeah. Fenris snaps at Maeve, you bitch, which I thought was fantastic. Unfortunately, so she she severs the blood oath Gavriel, but then she also says, however, I'm going to keep Fenris. What greater punishment for the one who is a traitor to me in his very soul than to serve me forever? So she's keeping Fenris.
So she takes care of Gabriel and Fenris and Lorcan. They're all down for the count, basically. Yeah. In their own special
Fenris
way.
Fenris is also told that he can't move.
So then she goes back to dealing with Aelin. And Aelin asks her why. Like, why bother with her at all? And Maeve reveals that she's basically known Aelin's purpose this whole time. Because she says, because I can't very well let you sacrifice yourself to forge a new lock, can I? Not when you already have what I want, and I have known a very long time that you would give me what I seek, Aelin Galathinius, and have taken steps towards ensuring that. She has known this whole time of like what her destiny was. Brandon stole the keys from me after I took them from the Valg. They were mine, and he snatched them. And then he mated with that goddess of yours, breeding the fire into the bloodline, ensuring I would think hard before touching his land, his heirs. But all bloodlines fade. And I knew a time would come when Brandon's flames would dim to a flicker, and I'd be poised to strike. But in my dark power, I saw a glimmer of the future. I saw that Mala's power would surge again, and that you would lead me to the keys. Only you, the one Brandon left clues for, the one who could find all three. And I saw who you were, what you were. I saw who you loved. I saw your mate. What a powerhouse you two would be, you and Prince Rowan, and any offspring of that union. You and Rowan could rule this continent if you wished. But your children would be power enough to rule an empire that could sweep the world. She reveals that she found Rowan and purposefully leads him right into Lyria's arms. Mm-hmm. Like, basically pushes him towards her. They fall in love. They have a baby. Maeve is the one that tells the soldiers to basically go and kill her to break Rowan. Mm-hmm. And breaks him so well that when the two of them finally meet, they don't even realize that they're mates.
Yep. She pretty much went into, like, Rowan's mind when he met Lyria to make him think that she was his mate.
I let him fall in love, let him get her with child, and then I broke him. No one ever asked how those enemy forces came to pass by his mountain home. He took the blood oath without question, and I knew that whenever you were born, whenever you came of age, I'd ensure that your paths crossed, and you'd take one look at each other, and I'd have you by the throat. Anything I'd asked for, you'd give to me, even the keys. For your mate, you could do no less. You almost did it that day in Dornell.
So Maeve has been manipulating the entire scenario. She knew Rowan was going to be the mate of whatever offspring came from Brandon's line. And she pretty much picked Rowan up and was like, I'm gonna watch you. I'm gonna do things to change your path, your intended path, enough so that you think these things, and then I'll put you guys together to get the most powerful couple in the world. Which is terrifying. She is so much scarier than... She's so much scarier than Erewhon.
Yeah. This is why in the beginning, like, we had that conversation a couple of times, and I'm like, okay, who do you think the big bad is right now? Because it changes every fucking book, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at first it was Dad, and then it was Erewhon.
And then the same shit. Technically, at the end of this book, you still think, like, Maeve sounds terrifying, but without all of the extra knowledge of, like, her also being Fae, she almost is just, like, another obstacle. It's like a bigger obstacle, and then they have to go deal with Erewhon. Having the knowledge,
I think she's
and then at
bigger,
the end
badder
of this
than
one,
Erewhon.
See, the thing is, like, I think when I read
in Empire of Storms, you don't get that. In the other book, you don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Right now,
like,
I think it
get that in this book, right? But like she's still terrifying. To give her total credit, horrifying, terrifying, scary lady. But I don't think that you really realize the depth of how fucking scary until you finish this book and you're like, oh no, okay, it's so much worse than we thought. Because, like, even in this book, you think, like, oh wow, it's kind of terrifying that she was able to go into Rowan's mind and manipulate him. But you don't realize how many fucking people she can actually manipulate until you get to this book, and she's like, oh, she convinced an entire fucking kingdom that she's a third sister of the person that didn't exist. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Great.
A third person that did not exist.
Sick. Great. So not just like one or two people here and there. It's like the whole, just everyone. She taunts her, asking how long Aelin has known that he was her mate. And she says she realized it the moment the arrow went through his shoulder months ago, glancing at Manon.
Maeve has realized that she is not going to waste Aelin's life on this lock. So she's not going to kill her, which we love that. We love when the big baddie goes, you're more useful to me alive. We're like, sick. That's great. That means she could fight her way out. You're more useful to me when you're alive is my favorite. Perfect. She's not gonna die now.
She's just gonna suffer.
Yeah. She's strong.
This is when she brings out Cairn.
Our favorite new cadre, who's a piece of literal shit. Flaming bag of garbage.
She brings out Cairn, and she gives Aelin a choice, which is to go willingly with
Maeve.
Go willingly with Maeve, and she'll leave everyone alone on the beach. And if she does not go willingly, then she will give a lead to Cairn.
Yeah, she'll take both of them, her and a lead.
Yeah.
The first option, a lead will stay with Lorcan and Manon. Second
Fenris
option
is like begging for this not to happen. Like, everyone's just distressed.
Yeah.
Of course, Aelin says, yeah, great.
Aelin
even
thinks
Lorcan starts begging.
Is going to save a lead. She's going to get her out. She's going to protect a lead. And Manon wasn't doing anything because Manon was waiting for Aelin to make a move. And she was just kind of like buying time. She's like, let's see what Aelin's going to do.
Lorcan says no.
Yeah.
And Maeve says, no to what, Lorcan? A lead Lorcan being taken if Aelin decides to put up a fight, or my generous offer to leave a lead be if her majesty comes willingly. And Lorcan says, she's innocent. Take the queen and let us go. Manon even snapped at Maeve. She belongs to the Iron Teeth. If you have no quarrel with me, then you have no quarrel with her. Leave a lead Lorcan out of it. She commands Maeve then commands Lorcan to stand down, to watch and do nothing, to not move or speak until I say so. The order applies to you as well, Fenris. And Elide is begging with Lorcan to fight back against the Blood Oath. And Maeve says, I will bear the keys in one hand and Aelin Firebringer in the other. Oh, God. Maeve lets Elide go. She tells Lorcan to release her. And she tries to get to Aelin, saying that she wants to go with Aelin. And that she'll go with her and be with her. And Aelin just says, Tell the others that I'm sorry. Tell Lysander to remember her promise, that I will never stop being grateful. Tell Aedion it's not his fault, and that I wish he'd been able to take the oath, but Terrasen will look to him now. The lines must not break. And then she says, Tell Rowan that I'm sorry I lied, but tell him that it was all borrowed time anyway. Even before today, I knew it was all just borrowed time, but I wish we had more of it. Tell him he has to fight. He must save Terrasen and remember the vows he made to me. And tell him thank you for walking that dark path with me back to the light.
She said to Elide, I'm glad we met. I'm proud to know you, and I think your mother would have been proud of you too, Elide. Maeve lowered the mask and drawled to Aelin. So Maeve put an iron mask on Aelin. They were hauling up a iron sarcophagus coffin thing with iron chains and an iron mask. Rumor claims you will bow to no one, Aerafire. That serpentine smile. Well, now you will bow to me.
She forces her to bow, and then she basically just lets Cairn, whip her in front of...
Yeah, she has her remove her shirt
before she gets put in the box.
Mm-hmm. Iron mask on her face so she can't fight back with fire.
And she tells her that she has to count. And she doesn't. She won't count. So Cairn just keeps hitting her. Mm-hmm. Over and over and over and over and over.
Yep. She pretty much says,
and then
10 lashes. Cairn does them. And then she asks Aelin, what number was that? She doesn't respond. And she tells Cairn, start over. And that happens, I don't know, 9-10 times. Too many.
Mm-hmm. She, and then one of the people holding her says it might be prudent to postpone this until later. The others are approaching, still far off, but approaching. So they put her in the box, and Manon grabs Elide and says, we're going now.
Elide, of course, is fighting back. And so Manon is like, this isn't going to do. And she fucking takes the end of her, end of Windcleaver and hits her in the head to knock her out slightly. Lorcan, of course, is like, the fuck did you just do? Can't do anything about it. She's like, fine. And she hauls her over her shoulder, looks at Maeve, and says, good luck, but then glances at Aelin, which was exactly who her true good luck was to.
Mm-hmm.
But she obviously couldn't show that side. And she just fucking hauls Elide off. She's like, we're out. I did my part. This is what I needed to do, was get Elide the fuck out of here. Manon
leaves.
I was gonna say, Maeve knew that Rowan was coming and that they were all coming, so she's like, all right, I guess we'll leave. And so she gets put in her box. Manon took Elide away, and Aelin did not fight as they kind of took her.
And then this is when we find out that Manon has the word keys. That Manon takes Elide and goes because Aelin, at some point during all of this fucking chaos, like
Slid
bumps
them into
into
her
Manon
pocket.
and slides the word keys into Manon's fucking pocket, which is why
It
Manon
is-
stands there and does nothing, because she can't put up a fight in any way or reveal that she has some stake in this, because then they'd probably find the word keys and everything would be fucked. So
Yeah.
she takes the word. It's also one of the reasons why she actually does take a lead and fucking leaves, because she has to get the keys away from Maeve.
As far away from Maeve as possible, yeah.
Manon doesn't, or Maeve doesn't check that Aelin has the keys before she leaves, which is interesting. But what she does
very strange that she just thinks that
Aelin
is holding the word keys on her.
I think that she's this is like one moment where Maeve is like so convinced that she's won, because she got everything she wanted. The other thing, before she leaves, she looks at Lorcan and strips him of the blood oath as well. She looks at Lorcan and says, "You've done all of this for me." And Maeve commands him to speak because she had commanded him not to.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Yes, it was all for you, all of it." And she says, "I have no use for self-righteous males who think they know best. I strip you of the blood oath. I strip you of your assets and titles and your property. You, like Gavriel, are released with dishonor and shame. You are exiled from Doranel for your disobedience, your treachery. Should you step foot inside my borders, you will die. Majesty, I beg you. Go beg someone else. I have no use for a warrior I cannot trust. I rescind my kill order. Letting you live with the shame will be far worse for you, I think." And then she leaves, taking the Queen of Terrasen with her.
Genuinely, I still don't understand the Maeve mindset of breaking the blood oath with two more of the most powerful fae males that she has on her side.
Yeah, so
she genuinely thinks this is going to break them. I don't see it. I see it being a harder thing for Gavriel to get over. I see it being hard for Lorcan because he has always been in love with Maeve and this idea that she is his queen.
I know. I don't get it.
But Lorcan is very much gonna pull the, like, my mate bullshit with a lead. Like, it's gonna happen.
They literally talk in this book about, like, oh, she was scared because we all teamed up together. So, like, why
But then Maeve's like, all right, bye, we're gonna just...
Because at the same time, she's just like, I have no use for you guys. I'm like, yeah, but I feel like it's still if you release them, they can go be useful to someone else. Like, you might not be able to use them again, but, like, go order them to go stand in a fucking room in your dungeon. Then you really know that they're not getting up to any shit.
That, like, the second she did, I went, this feels weird. Like, that was like, in a grand scheme, is where... unless her manipulation... Well, we know that we know the backstory from Tower of Dawn. So the only thing that I can allude to is that she wants them away from her and not tied to her to fight against Erewhon. Is the only little bit of, like...
Yeah. She's trying to pre-plan that, like, maybe they'll be able to defeat Erewhon for me if they're over there.
Correct. And it's not tied to me, because Erewhon still doesn't know that she is
it's a lot, though,
her.
Because they're gonna come for her when they're done with Erewhon. That's a big gamble. I think that you're right that she's making a gamble. That's a big gamble.
I think she's making the gamble with the idea of, like, if Erewhon's not in the picture, I can summon all of the Valg to defend me. Because she's only in hiding from Erewhon. She's not in hiding from any of the other Valg that are keeping her secret, which we learn from the spiders. She is in hiding specifically from Erewhon and the kings, or whatever, the main kings of the Valg. Which is the only thing that makes that little bit make sense. Otherwise... the fuck are you doing? You literally just gave away your largest asset to Aelin's army. You just said, here you go. I don't need him. Have him. Good luck.
Yeah, whatever.
You
It's good
don't
for
think
us.
Rowan and Lorcan and
This
Gabriel
is still
are gonna
still the
fucking...
same moment where like she releases Gabriel from the blood oath, and I'm like, fucking great, sick, sounds good.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gabriel, but like,
all right, that's very beneficial to us.
People will understand when you help save the world, okay? And then in the future, they'll understand that like you have that mark, but because Maeve's a bitch and not because you're actually dishonorable. It's gonna be fine. I was just like, I see no downside here, where this is gonna work out in our favor. You can go be with your son. I don't know what's going on. We're fine.
Yeah, it happened and I went, what is Maeve's play here? Because it doesn't make sense.
What are we doing?
What is she doing? Yeah, that's the only thing where my brain went, huh? She's just, I'll break the blood oath with the two of you.
This next chapter.
Yeah, this is all the lines we want.
Okay,
First
guys,
of all, before that,
everything's terrible. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Manon hears a Braxos roar. This is the first time Manon is hearing a Braxos, and I think we just need to touch on that because...
Yeah, because wait, so Manon's been gone this whole time. She has no idea.
She didn't know all the
She's been in the mirror,
here.
and then she came out from the mirror, and Maeve's there, and everything's terrible. She grabs the lead, she runs away. Go.
Then, we need to go, Manon murmured. The moment Maeve checked to see where those keys were, they had to go. A roar grumbled on the horizon. A Braxos. Her heart thundered in her chest. Joy sparking. But a lead remained in the grass, watching. And for the sake of their world, Manon prayed that the Queen of Terrasen could survive it, if only so Aelin could then die for them all. Which is exactly what she learned in the fucking mirror. But this joy, she has joy and hope. The two things that she never has ever felt or been able to think. She had hope when Aelin survived, and then joy when she hears a Braxos. I'm just like, yes.
This is what stresses me out. This is the line I was trying to remember where it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because I couldn't remember if it was in this book or a different book. If only so Aelin could die for them all. This is why I'm stressed out, okay? Because if Aelin's been captured and they can't get her back, who's left to do the things to save them all?
Dorian!
Exactly.
Dorian's gonna do this shit.
If they can't get Aelin back, then it means Dorian dies.
Mm-hmm. Well.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, but see, the thing...
But this is the line. This is the line.
Yes. That is the line that makes
because she says, for the sake of the world, she prays that she can survive this. If only so Aelin could die from them all. And if Aelin can't accomplish what she has to do, then Dorian has to die for it.
Mm-hmm. However, I have hope because Maeve doesn't want her dead. And Maeve, we know, wants the lock.
Oh, I know. But this is the other reason why I'm like, Maeve knows that she has to die to forge the lock. Which means that Maeve is not going to kill her.
Correct.
And not going to let her die. Which is why I'm like, Dorian is in danger. Because it could be that they have to sacrifice Dorian.
Maeve has not alluded to her knowing that Dorian has the tie to Mala. The tie that is needed for the lock.
Oh, she would know. Because it's in their bloodline. Because she knows that, she knows their bloodline.
Yeah. At this point,
that part's not a secret.
Yeah, at this point, I didn't think Dorian needed to die. I thought Maeve has another way of forging a lock that doesn't kill Aelin. That pulls her power and doesn't kill Aelin. Because maybe...
See, but she has no...
But they also talk about Aelin being stronger than Mala because she has Mala and Maeve. Isn't it just like the two bloodlines kind of converge at her?
No,
because she has Ash River and Galathinius.
Rowan's the other bloodline. Rowan is Mab.
What is she has Ash River and Galathinius. What's that?
Well, that's just Brannon and Maeve's or Mala's bloodline.
Well, Brandon
in
is...
Ash River. I can't remember what the Galathinius line is compared to... I gotta bring up the thing again.
In my brain, I was thinking Mala is just Mala bloodline. So, like, they could use Mala power since she has both. Maeve knows something where she can, like, break off just one of the powers and, like, just use that section of her bloodline's power.
So it's just Elena comes from the Galathinius bloodline. Because Aelin has Brannon and Mala Firebringer, who had Elena, who was a Galathinius. And then Elena marries Gavin Haviliard, and that's like that bloodline. But the other, Elena's brother, is what Aelin comes from. Aelin is like related to Elena, but not one of Elena's direct descendants.
Gotcha.
Aelin is a direct descendant of Brannon and Mala, but not a direct descendant of Elena. That's Dorian. That's why the two of them are both options, because Dorian is a direct descendant of Elena.
Gotcha. But it's still, they're both Mala.
They're both Mala's bloodline.
Gotcha.
Because Elena is the son, or the kid of Brannon and Mala. It's great. But Mab is the one, Mab is the bloodline that Rowan comes from, which is why Maeve says that their kids could be so powerful, because they have two
very strong bloodlines.
Yeah. All right. So everything's fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But
Maeve, Maeve takes them. This before Rowan shows up. They're like going down the hill towards Maeve's ship, and she just vanishes, which I think is very like weird. I don't know if she used Fenris's magic. That's why she kept Fenris.
I think it's Fenris's.
They could just fucking winnow. So it very likely could be that. But she also appeared out of nowhere. So maybe there's another person on that ship that can also winnow, and like the combined can just.
I wouldn't be surprised.
She just knows how to winnow. Very possible. With the whole ship. Sorry, I just punched my mic. But they just vanish in thin air. Like, the way it's described is that they look and the ship just disappears. And then Rowan arrives. And all the wyvern.
Everyone arrives.
Just a hair too late.
It's painful. Alid just starts, like, talking to all of them, saying the ship just vanished. She left without realizing. We have the keys.
Yeah. She doesn't say
Manon's
keys.
Manon's
like, shut the fuck up.
Having her, yeah,
don't say these words out loud.
Well, it's less that she didn't want her to say it, and more that she's reuniting with the 13. Everybody. So, like, they're having a grand time over there. Rowan comes barreling in, screaming, "Where is Aelin?" There was pure panic. Pure panic as Whitethorn saw the blood, the scattered blades, and the shirt. Where is Aelin? This is in Lorcan's perspective. What had he done? What had he done? Pain sliced Lorcan's neck. Warm blood dribbled down his throat, his chest. Rowan hissed, "Where is my wife?" Lorcan swayed where he knelt. Wife. Wife. Oh gods, Alid sobbed as she overheard the words carrying the sound of Lorcan's own fractured heart. Oh gods. For the first time in centuries, Lorcan wept. Rowan dug the dagger deeper into Lorcan's neck, even as tears slid down Lorcan's face. What that woman had done. Aelin had known that Lorcan had betrayed her and summoned Maeve here, that she had been living on borrowed time, and she married Whitethorn so Terrasen could have a king, perhaps, had been spurred into action because she knew Lorcan had already betrayed her, that Maeve was coming, and Lorcan had not helped her. Whitethorn's wife, his mate.
Aelin had let this part is what I think Lorcan had always seen Aelin as this like selfish person who was doing stuff for her own benefit.
Yeah. And he's an idiot.
Yeah, we know this. Aelin had let them whip and chain her, had gone willingly with Maeve, so a lead didn't enter Cairn's clutches, and it had been just as much a sacrifice for a lead as it had been a gift to him. She had bowed to Maeve for a lead.
Manon is the one that tells Rowan that Maeve took her.
Mm-hmm.
She used the oath. Gavriel then says she used the oath to keep us down, keep us from helping, even Lorcan. And then they talk about the ship vanishing. Manon tells them about the lock, about Elena, and the cost the gods demanded of her, demanded of Aelin. But it was a lead who then took up the thread, leaning against Lysandra, who was staring at the blood and the shirt as if it were a corpse, telling them what had happened on these dunes, what Aelin had sacrificed.
She told Rowan that he was Aelin's mate, told him about Lyra. She told them about the whipping and the mask and the box. When a lead finished, they were silent, and Lorcan only watched as Adian turned to Lysandra and snarled, "You knew." Lysandra did not flinch. She asked me that day on the boat to help her. She told me the suspected price to banish Erewhon and restore the keys, what I needed to do. Adian snarled, "What could you possibly?" Lysandra lifted her chin. Rowan breathed. Aelin would die to forge the new lock to seal the keys into the gate to banish Erewhon, but no one would know. No one but us. Not while you wore her skin for the rest of your life. Adian dragged a hand through his blood-caked hair, but any offspring with Rowan wouldn't look anything like. Lysandra's face was pleading. You would fix that, Adian, with me.
It's so heartbreaking.
This is when Adian realizes that Lysandra manipulated him as well a little bit. She truly cares for Adian, I believe, wholeheartedly. I don't think any of this was just a ploy to get closer to him.
Mm-mm.
But
she also doesn't actually get close to him. It's very much on his side that he does all of this, and she keeps her distance.
Yeah. Oh, it's so hard.
She had planned with her that if anything were to happen to Aelin, that Lysandra would be able to shapeshift into Aelin and be her so that they could continue on, after, and continue the bloodline and provide stability for her country without her there.
Lysandra says, I will not apologize to you. I serve her, and I am willing to spend the rest of my life pretending to be her so that her sacrifice isn't in vain. Adian snapped, You can go to hell. You can go to hell, you lying bitch. This moment hurt my soul. Lorcan
then takes the sword away from... Rowan takes the sword away from Lorcan's neck and walks out towards the sea. Lorcan rises, and a lead basically runs up to him and says, I hope you spend the rest of your miserable, immortal life suffering. I hope you spend it alone. I hope you live with regret and guilt in your heart and never find a way to endure it. And then she was heading for the 13.
Oh.
Adian then goes at him. Even before you got the order to stand down, you did nothing to help her. You summoned Maeve here, and I will never forget that. And then he leaves to go stand with Rowan.
The only one who has a great reunion right now is Manon.
Manon!
The 13 and Abraxo showed up, and so this is the first time she's seeing Astrid
other than the fact
alive.
That we find out that Rowan and Aelin got secretly married, fucking 7 chapters ago. Mm-hmm. The only other good news that we have is that they're alive and that they're back. And Manon reunites with them, and she, like, asks them if they care that she's Kraken. And they're like, no, we don't fucking care that you're Kraken. Sounds great. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And Astrid just asks her, what are you going to do? And Manon looks behind them to the north. I'm going to find the Krokens, and I'm going to raise an army for them. For Aelin Galathinius, for her people, and for ours. They'll never trust us, Sorrel said. Astrid drawled, then we'll have to be our charming selves. Some of them smirked, some of them shifted on their feet. Manon said again to her 13, will you follow me? When they all touched their fingers to their brows again, Manon returned the gesture.
The 13 are gonna go with Manon. There is one line that Astrid says right before that, which is when she asks about, so you're half Kraken, Sorrel grunted, Kraken queen, and heir to Rhiannon Kraken's likeness. Astrid shrugged. 5 centuries of pure-blooded iron teeth couldn't bring us home. Maybe you can.
Yeah!
That line by itself, I went, my heart, please, maybe you can. That right there is like enough to say they don't give a shit about any of it. They just believe in you.
No.
Manon pretty much says to her 13 that we owe Aelin Galathinius a life debt. And so we will raise the Kraken army and we will fight for her to save Aelin. Manon then tells everyone, hey guys, guess what? So,
after
Maeve
all these reunions is when they like, go back together. And then Manon just is like,
here, out of my pocket, here are 2 word keys.
Also, I still have these, so we're not as fucked as it looks. We're gonna figure it out. So Manon still has the word keys. And she apologizes to Rowan for not being able to do anything. And she gives both of the word keys to Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
And tells him about Mala's bloodline being able to stop what's happening.
What I think is great in this little interaction is they all snap at Lorcan for like not stepping in and not doing anything, and Gabrielle's kind of like, hey guys, we were tethered to the blood oath, like we couldn't physically do anything. Not a single person is like, Manon, what the fuck were you doing while all of this was happening? But
it's Lorcan's fault that she's there in the first place.
Yes, she still takes a second to say,
she explains herself without even being asked.
Yeah, she goes, it's why I couldn't do anything about it to help her. I had to look uninvolved, neutral. From where he sat on the beach below, Aedion had twisted toward them, his keen fey hearing, feeding him every word. I am sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't help. Elena said Mala's bloodline can stop this. It runs in both your houses. The golden eyes were wary, heavy. He realized that what Manon was asking. Aelin had never planned to see Terrasen again.
Mm-hmm.
Dorian says softly, the quest does not end here. And Manon responds, no, it does not. I wrote all caps, Dorian, let's go! Dorian slides the keys into his pocket, and the road that now sprawled away before him, curving into unknown, awaiting shadow, it did not frighten him. Let's fucking go.
Good.
Dorian is going fucking fight shit. So good. This book could have ended with that chapter and I would have been fine. But they, of course, have to...
But we have to do a little bit more suffering. Just a little more.
Yeah, I would have been fine. Let's just end the book there. We have a little, hope that Dorian can do something. Instead, we have to get some kind of direction of where everybody's going to go, and that's what the last chapter of the book is. So...
The last chapter of the book starts with Rowan realizing that she knew all of this for, a lot longer than anybody realized. She had known that he was her mate. She had known that this was likely the direction that she was heading. And like her words come back to him. It was all borrowed time anyways. Aelin did not expect them to come for her. Rowan knew she believed she'd made the right choice, the wise choice, and remained here. Lead their armies to victory, armies she'd secured for them, guessing that she wouldn't be there to see it through. She did not think she'd ever see him again. He did not accept that. He would not accept that. He would not accept that he found her, and she had found him, and that they survived such sorrow and pain and despair together, only to be cleaved apart. He would not accept the fate that had been dealt to her, would not accept that her life was the asking price for saving this world. Her life or Dorian's. He would not accept it for one heartbeat. He is gonna fucking get her back, baby!
We are gonna get the where the fuck is my wife?
Where's my wife?
And I
More.
can't
More. Where's
wait.
my wife?
Where is she?
Where is my wife?
This is
they
when
all stare at
finally...
Rowan.
Yeah.
They all stare at Rowan, and then ships just start appearing.
This is where he also finally touches on the thing that I have been saying has been happening the whole time. Was he's talking down their maiden bond, and he's just throwing words like, I will find you, I'm coming for you, and I have been saying that that's how they've been communicating for so long. They just didn't fucking know it. Maybe Aelin did, but...
There is a bit where it has, in italics, fight it, he willed her, sending the words down the bond, the mating bond, which perhaps had settled into place the first moment they became Karanan, hidden beneath flame and ice and hope for a better future. Fight her, I'm coming for you. Even if it takes me 1,000 years, I will find you, I will find you, I will find you. He rises to his feet and turns to all of them.
He realizes that
a bunch of boats.
Yeah, he sees all of his cousin's ships, all of Ansel of Briarcliff's ships, Rolf's 3 ships, and then rounding the eastern tip of land, a longboat that he did not recognize with somebody. He watched the olive-skinned sailor haul it up the beach. A broad-shouldered young man nimbly leaped out, his slightly curling dark hair tossed in the sea breeze. He asks, where is Aelin Galathinius? And his accent, who are you? Rowan ground out. Aedion breathed as if in a trance. Galen Ashriver, crowned prince of Wendlin, had showed up. And then we wait a couple more minutes, and he shows that he got a letter from Aelin stating, Terrason remembers Evelyn Ashriver. Do you? I fought at Mistward for your people. Return the goddamn favor.
So good.
And then coordinates to this exact location. Because Aelin fucking knew more than everyone else.
And this is also when
someone else
realizes how much of a shit he's been.
Oh, yeah. I kind of ignored that because I knew he was a shit, and I was like, it's fine. He can finally recognize.
Yeah, more people arrive.
Uh-huh.
As well.
Ansel
the assassins,
of Briarcliff.
Silent Recessants.
I think the point of Ansel notices first and is like, fuck. Ansel of Briarcliff had gone pale at the sight of their layered, flowing clothes, as the tall male in the center peeled off his hood to reveal a brown-skinned, green-eyed face, still handsome with use. The Queen of the Waste whispered, Ilias, which is our mute assassin, the one where Ansel was at the mute assassin camp with Aelin, so she directly knows Ilias, and she directly went against Ilias.
Yeah, Ilias would know what she did. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
So now the silent assassins of the Red Desert are also here.
Mm-hmm. In a voice hoarse from disuse, as we know, because they're the mute assassins. We have come to fulfill our life debt to Selena Sardathian, to Aelin Galathinius. Where is she? So they show up.
And then fucking Lysandra. Lysandra comes out as Aelin and pretends to be her.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly like they had planned. And tells all of them, like, okay, great, this is cool, we're gonna get our army together. Looks at Rowan and tells Rowan to go find her.
Mm-hmm.
And then
she kind of like whispers it like, hey, I'm gonna
like,
let you go.
Yep, you're
do
gonna
the thing you want to do, because I also want you to do that thing.
You have another task you have to go do. Thanks, babe. Go do that, please.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, like, lets him go so that he can go find her. And then Lysandra as Aelin, and Adian and the rest of them can go and do what they gotta do.
Tears slid down Adian's face as he silently sobbed. Where are your allies, Aelin? Where are our armies? She had taken the criticism, taken it, because he knew she hadn't wanted to disappoint them. If she failed, Rowan put a hand on Adian's shoulder. All of it for Terrasen, she had said. That day she'd revealed she'd schemed her way into getting Arobyn's fortune.
She just has so many plans and so many, like, threads that she wove, not knowing if any of them would pay off.
She just hoped.
And then, like, they all paid off. Mm-hmm. It's so great.
They realized that the last piece was Chaol and Nesryn rallying forces in the southern continent.
Yeah. So they've got Lysandra, Galen, Ilias, and Ansel, and all of their troops are going to go north. Mm-hmm. Adian's gonna go with them.
Yeah.
And then you've got Rowan, Gavriel signs up, Lorcan signs up, and I think Dorian ends up going north too.
Dorian goes with
Dorian and Manon. Dorian and Manon, I think, go with
the 13. They all kind of go with the 13. No,
you're right. You're right. So we've got, like, all of the new people.
The army is going to go with Lysandra and Adian.
They're going to go north to go to Terrasen. Mm-hmm. Manon and Dorian are going to fuck off and go do their own thing, because they've got bloodline shit they got to go do. Mm-hmm. And then what I'm calling the new dream team, which is team return to dream team.
Yeah.
Which is to go get Aelin
find
back.
Aelin.
Find Aelin, please God. Is Rowan, Gavriel, Lorcan? Just those three fuckers.
Well, sort of.
I feel
what
like
confused me is, like, that's what they talked about, but they all get on wyverns and go with the witches. So I think the witches and Dorian are also
I think they're
part
gonna go
that.
Like, they're like gonna probably split up at some point, but they have to leave where they are to go rally.
That group, their goal is find the third word key and Aelin.
I think it ends up being that, like, Manon and Dorian are gonna go find the third word key, and then Gavriel, Rowan, and
some of the
Lorcan
13
are gonna go get Aelin. To be honest, they're all fucking searching, obviously. Like, they're all going to look, no matter what.
Gavriel rasped, looking at Adian. We'll find her. Together, we'll go together. Elite also went with the witches. I don't know where she's going with the 13, I believe, as well.
Yeah, I don't understand why she goes with the 13, to be honest. I feel
I
like
think
it would
Manon
make more
just
sense that
wants
she goes with...
Lysandra and
I
Aedion.
know, but like...
She can play the,
if
like...
she's...
I think she would be very useful with Lysandra and Aedion.
That's what I'm saying, is I think that she should go with them, because she needs that extra political power that technically a lead can bring with Aelin, because she's got to go back and fucking fight what's his face,
Darrow,
who's a dick and won't. Yeah, that dude. Grand. So now we have to find Aelin. Find Aelin, get Terrasen back, figure out where Kael and Irene fit into this.
Yep.
And then save the world. It's easy. It'll be fine.
I have as my
no
last
stress.
like real thing. Dorian left with the witches, and so did Gavriel. I will find you. Rowan shifted and soared down the coast, and began the hunt to find his wife.
Yeah.
And that is where Empire of Storm ends. And I gave it 5 stars.
Do you see now why you would be infuriated?
If I had to go
read this book and then read Tower of Dawn after.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god. I obviously did not know, because I didn't want spoilers. I did not know what happened at the end of this book. I just knew going into when I read it the first time. I was told this fucking cliffhanger is egregious, which it is. This is fucking painful. So then
I don't think it's as painful as fucking Iron Flame or Fourth Wing. Those were fucking painful. This,
I don't know.
I don't have a question mark at the end. It sucks and it hurts. It sucks that Aelin went, but like at the end of this, they all have a mission that they're going in direction. At the end of Fourth Wing, you're like, I'm sorry.
The thing is,
what?
The thing is that Sarah gives you extra chapters at the end that give you hope.
Yes.
I think, for me, that's what I got at the end of Onyx Storm. At the end of Onyx Storm, I got a hope chapter.
Yeah, but Fourth Wing,
like the end of Iron Flame was fucked. That shit was fucked. Okay, Rebecca.
Even Fourth Wing. I'm not gonna spoil it.
Fourth Wing was also
and you're like, oh hello, person that isn't supposed to be here, and then it's like, all right, see ya, Iron Flame time. Goodbye. You're like,
no, yeah, I'll give you that. Those
Oh,
two were
what?
both a lot. At least this is why I was like, people didn't like Onyx Storm. I was like, at least we got hope at the end, okay?
Yeah.
Like,
we got some
I read
kind
the
of,
last.
like, we know what's happening.
I was surprised, but I was like, oh, okay. No, they put some plan together, I think.
Yeah, there's a
We don't
cliffhanger, but it's not so much where you're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is happening? This, you know what's
It's
happening.
not like a
Maeve has
everything's
taken
fucked.
Aelin.
Yeah.
Our new dream team Save Aelin is going to go do the Save Aelin thing.
Yeah. We know that
Lysandra
someone's
and Aedion
going.
are gonna go do Terrasen things. We're still in the process of still trying to fight Erewhon while also trying to get Aelin back from Maeve.
Yeah.
Like, we have a plan.
Maybe that's why.
To go
We're
forward.
fine because we have a plan. That's the rule. If you want to make your cliffhanger really evil, just drop the horse shit and have no plan whatsoever.
Yeah.
If you want to be a little nice, you can still have a really intense, crazy cliffhanger, but just let us know that there's a plan.
See,
after.
if Sarah was Rebecca, she would have ended at chapter 72 with the last line of Aelin did not fight as they put the mask over her face.
Yeah, that would have been where...
That would have been the end of the book.
That would have been fucking wild, though.
That would have been, see you later.
Next
book,
so
please.
Dope. And then to just read Tower of Dawn after that? Ugh. Yuck.
Which, honestly, it would... Never mind. I'm not going to say anything.
I mean, it would have been crazy.
Yeah. Guys, this is our second to last one. Guys, gals, non-binary pals. Second to last.
One more.
We have one more of the tandem.
Of the tandem read.
Which we're going to go record right now. Because...
Yeah. Because
I couldn't stop reading, so...
Yeah, we did plan, because I was like, you're going to finish
I
Empire of
needed to
Storms,
finish.
and you're just gonna wanna, because you're not gonna wanna have to wait a whole week then to start Kingdom of Ash, like if you wanted to after finishing. So I was like, you're probably gonna want to just read all the way through the end of both books,
which I did.
But yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, everyone, for checking out this episode. This is part 12 of our tandem. We have one more part 13. We hope you enjoyed your time, and you can find us at the Smut Peddlers on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok for additional content.
13 episodes, just like the 13. We did not plan that, but I'm
happy
about
it.
That was not planned, but I'm happy about it.
Coincidence. Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
everybody.
Friends.
Bye.
Goodbye.